Hey guys, today is lesson 10 of getting to know your mySewnet software, and we are getting closer and closer to the end and actually getting to the fun stuff and the actual digitizing. So let's go ahead and open our mySewnet software, double click on your mySewnet icon, double click on the embroidery module, and give it a minute to open. All right, once open, we're going to go ahead and, oops, I need to update my software. Okay, still, yeah, I know that was from last week too. Okay, so we're going to click on blank canvas, and we'll choose whatever hoop you want. 240 by 150 is fine. I'm going to change my view for you guys to put it back to normal. Okay, so you guys should be on the home tab, 240 by 150 hoop, and we're going to click on the create tab. All right, so I told you guys that we were going to do 2, possibly 3 items in today, and we're going to go over family tree, project in the hoop, and sketch. We are going to go pretty fast through this. Family tree, it's cool for what it is. I would prefer doing it myself, and I have. I've done a family quilt for someone, and I just created each block individually and then put the quilt together because I wanted birthdays and stuff, and that option is not available in Family Tree. But we're going to go ahead and click on the Family Tree wizard from our Create tab. And, oh, hold on. I was already testing this lesson. Let me go to configure real quick. Hold on. Configure. So if ever you need to clear Family Tree, so Family Tree does retain all information that you put in it. So when that happens, it's going to retain. So if you wanted to do one family and then do another family, the way you would do it is you would come in here and say reset all modules. Unfortunately, it's going to switch a bunch of my stuff. I say okay, and it closed everything. Okay, let me bring it back up. Hold on. Okay. Oh, I also have to change my appearance. Background white and grid black. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reopen embroidery. So with the family tree module, if you put in a family and you want to create a second family, you have to reset all modules, okay? And I just showed you how to do that. It's through configure, utilities, and reset all modules. All right, let's put our hoop back to 240 by 150, natural, and say okay. This isn't going to matter because it's not what it uses. Okay, we're going to go to the create tab, family tree. Okay, and now, oops, as you can see, I no longer have any family in there. Okay, so you can do a Descendants chart or an Ancestors chart. I'm going to do, Descendants go down, Ancestors go up. I'm going to do Descendants, so I'm going to choose Descendants. And it's going to say, enter the name and gender for the first individual. So I'm going to do myself, and, oops. I think you're supposed to put your maiden name. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to put my maiden name. Okay, and then it says, this is fine, create a Descendants chart. These are the only options I get, and next. Okay, then it's going to ask for the family members, and then it's going to say partner, so I'm going to put my partner. Okay, and then children. So we'll put in my oldest first, and then, oops. Oh, he's a male. And then my second. And he's a male. My third. Yes, I have a lot of children. She is a girl, my one and only girl. And then my last. Oops. And he's a male. So 3 boys and a girl. Okay, so let's say I had another partner. I could enter another partner and more children, but I don't have a second partner. This is my 1 and only husband and my 4 children. So we're going to say next. And enter family names for Sebastian Brown. His partner, he does not have a partner anymore, but he does have a child, and his child is Asher, and he is a boy. Okay, so that's him. And then Christian has none, Peyton no, Broderick no, Asher absolutely not. So we're going to go ahead and say close. But that was how you would enter all their children. And actually, I'm going to go back to Christian, and we're going to put a wife, we're going to give him a wife. Emily. I have no idea. And we'll give him one child. We'll do Gavin. I don't know why Gavin pops in my head, but we'll do that one. Okay. So then you can see how Christian's now married to Emily, and Emily and Christian have Gavin. So as you keep going with this and adding names, it gets more and more. Okay, so let's add. I'm going to add. Oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. Katie. Oh gosh, sorry, Katie. If you ever watch this, I'm so sorry. I love you. Okay, Katie, and I have no idea what Katie's last name is. I know it's terrible. Don't judge. I barely remember my own children's name. Okay, so Sebastian's was married to Katie. Katie and Sebastian had Asher. We made up Emily. They had Gavin. And it just keeps going. And then if Gavin were to have a kid, it would keep going down and down and down and down. Okay, so you get to the end, and the last thing would be for Gavin, and it would say close. Okay, so I've got my chart, and let's say that I took a break and closed it down. When you come back in, it's going to pop up just like that. And so I'm the first individual, so if I push on that pops up. My children, my grandchildren. Okay, so we're going to take Katie out, leave Asher, and we're going to take out our made-up Emily and Gavin. So you can make changes. And then great-grandchildren, I have none, and those would be the children of my one and only grandchild. Okay, given name only. So it just shows our names, but it can do above family name. So you can see that it would be Stephanie Cannon. This is way I would prefer it to be done. I don't like just the given name. I do like the name above. If you do it beside, it can get really long sometimes. I mean, honestly, me and three of my children have some really long names. But our last name is pretty short, so that's a bonus. Okay, so that's basically all you can do. You cannot add a birth date. You cannot add really any other details. It is basically just this that I have figured out. Lettering, you can come in here and you can change the font. And I'm going to change it to, where is it? This one. And you can change the size and the gap. So if I needed a larger gap or a smaller gap, spacing, you can add space between them, connections, trim, or a running stitch. With the little fonts, the running stitch sometimes is better, but stitch type, you can do change your satin column. So this one has multiples, so I can change my density because this is stitched satin stitch, so it has multiple. Thread color, like always, double click on it and you can change the color. And then we'll say next again. Frame, you can change the frames around it. So instead of this one, you could do this one. And so it's going to change, and then you can change the color of the frame. You can do no frames if that's what you so choose. I personally believe if you are doing something like this, like you want to do a full panel, I would 100% recommend doing the squares. So instead of doing block by block, you're doing a panel. You can do flourishes instead. Somebody might find that more appealing. There's all different kinds of them that you can do. You can do them. That might be kind of different to do the flourishes above and below. So again, there's so many things that you can do with this as far as designing it. Again, I really don't like that you can't add birth dates. If you could add a birth date to this, in my opinion, it would be perfect. I probably would use it, but that not being able to add that birth date. Now, okay, so let me rephrase that. You can technically, so let's go back to my frame. I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn that black. I hate that gold color. Okay. All right. So here it is. The connectors, you can change the connectors. You can change them from satin to running stitch, or you can have no connectors at all. I prefer the connectors. It makes sense with the connectors. Without them, it kind of is a little different. You can use single lines. You can use double lines. The double lines gives you the equals when they're a couple married. You can change for your satin line, you can change your width and your density. When you have such a small satin line, I don't recommend going too low with your density. Okay, that's it. That is all you get to do. You only get to add the names. Again, no birth dates, no nothing. I've looked in here trying to figure out, can I right click on it? Can I, how can I add it? You can't. So once you're done and you're like, you know what, I like that, you're going to close it. And okay, that was weird. It normally pops up in your hoop. It's all gone. Nope, there it is. But all my changes aren't made. It's glitching. Okay, let's make those changes really quick again. I think it was this one and I did where is that? I don't even see that exists anymore. That is weird. Oh, there. Okay, that one. Nope, that is not what I chose. That one. Change my color to black. Okay. Oh, you know what? I know what I did. I did not hit finish. That was my mistake. I was like, why isn't this working? I'll show you here in a second. Oops. Okay. I know it's silly to change the colors, but I have to. Okay, so it's finished. Don't hit the close. When you hit close on create, paint, those two close the program. Oh, and modify. Those close the program and put it in your hoop. On this one, it acts like a true wizard and you have to say finish. Once you say finish, it will process and it'll put it in this ginormous, this ginormous hoop that you don't have. This is where this split project will come into. So we are going to do a split project real quick because you have to be able to, if you wanted to stitch this out, you could not possibly have this hoop. It's 1,025 by 194. The 194 you could get. The 1,025 you could not. So we're going to go ahead and do a split project. Okay, so split project is when you choose it, you're going to choose what hoop you want to use. Sometimes using the biggest hoop you have is not the best choice. So we're going to do, the biggest hoop I have is the 360 by 260. And I'm going to say, okay. And that's pretty good. But it's going to take 4 hoops across and 1 down, which makes sense. So that one worked out pretty well and everything looks pretty good. Okay, nothing's split right here in the center, but that's about it. Oh, So you can see the splits. Can you guys see that? Let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay, so if you can see this kind of light pale area, that is where it's split. So it's split here, split here, split here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 hoopings. Okay. I do intelligent, so overlap. Overlap is 50 millimeters. What that means is it is going to overlap 50 millimeters so that you can adjust it so that it's going to cover. You can change the overlap if you want. You normally leave mine pretty high. 50 millimeters is kind of big. And if you lower this number, let's do half that. Let's do 25. I now have it down to 3 hoopings because my overlap is not as big. So now I have 1, 2, 3 hoopings instead of the 4. And I'm probably going to go with this because what I want to really look at is I want to see that it doesn't affect the lettering. When you try to line up lettering, it can be a little tricky unless it's really big lettering. And since you want the lettering of this project to be the focus, it would be better to have that lettering all not separated. So if you can look, mine, all the lettering is, or does at least looks like it's going to not be split, and just these satin lines, which are much easier to line up. Alignment stitch type, you have corner, based, and none. If you know what you're doing, corner is good. If you don't, based is kind of a little bit more helpful. It gives you a totally defined area, whereas corner sometimes can rip out. So if you're going to stitch something out like this, a lot of times what I do is when it stitches, I go ahead and mark that because 9 times out of 10, the first stitch pulls out. I've yet to figure that one out. Compensation, we don't have to worry about that. Trim, our connection is trim or running stitches. So I'm basically using my cutter, or it's not using the cutter. I always use my cutter when possible, except for cross stitch. You don't want to do that. Okay. So when you're happy with the split lines and that you say, okay, this works for me, we're going to hit next. And it's going to show you what each hooping is. So the first hooping is Sebastian, and you're like, what is this? This is that overlap. And notice it's missing here. This is the one confused. Oh, wait, I want to go back real quick. Okay, so I chose intelligent. If you choose straight line, it's going to cut it off at that. So intelligent is going to overlap it without overlapping both. It's going to make it so it kind of, you're only overlapping a little bit. Straight is going to overlap a lot. You might be like, well, what is the difference? Okay, so intelligent is when you want to split a hoop and put them back together in the most efficient way. Straight line is when you want to hoop something with a defined straight edge. So have you guys ever seen like the hoodies, the zipped hoodies, where one side is on the zipper and the other side of the design is on the other side of the zipper? That would be a split project. They would have digitized it and split it straight down the middle. And what that's going to do, and then you would take your overlap and you would make this 0. That would make it so that you have 2 perfectly even sets. So straight line would be half and half of a single design to split it so that you could put half on one side and half on the other side. But that's not what we're doing here today. So we're going to put that back to 25 and I'm going to choose intelligent. I did just want to mention that. It's just one of those techniques you can use. Okay, so here's our overlap. The other one is going to overlap on this side. So this one overlaps here. The one on the next section is going to overlap here. Okay, we're going to say next. Oh, and then you can go through all the sections. So you can see section. So, and see, none of my wording ever is affected, which is exactly what I want to see. This weird line is a running stitch. And then here's the last one. Okay, so everything looks pretty good. It looks pretty simple. Hit next. It says you have not saved your part. Are you sure you wish to proceed? Oh, that's right. Okay, so down at the bottom left, this is where you would export all sections. So it's going to export all 3 sections at once. So I'm going to say okay. And I will throw this on my desktop. Oops. And say open. Okay. Oops. Okay, and then I would do, I'll just do, oops. Okay, and then export. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done here. But so your last screen is your print screen. You can print an overview, you can print a 2D template, or you can print a workshop. Any one of these choices is totally up to you. A full-size template helps you line everything up and see exactly where it's going to go, so that's quite helpful. A worksheet just shows basically the colors for each part aspect of the design. And then you can also do a print a plan of how the embroidery has been split with each name on the section. I don't know if it's going to let me. Let's see if I switch to PDF. Let's see if it'll. Family tree. A lot of times mine will pop up. Let's see if it's going to pop up. And it doesn't. Okay, so that was the overview that I printed. The other ones are pretty self-explanatory. And then you just say finish. And if you look, you can now see that it is actually split. So now you have, you can ungroup it and it'll actually let you alter each one. Now, here is where you could get creative. So if you wanted to, you could do birth date on this side and death date on this side. So you could add them into this if you so chose. So the way you would do that is you would choose letter, and I'm going to go grab the same, and to 1175 and apply. Wow, that's a little big, but we can shrink it down a little bit. Okay. So you could actually kind of like put in your birth date, or if they've died, you could do their death date. So you could add that. You could have technically did the one where it was straight across, and then you could have put it down underneath. So there, you do have some ways of doing stuff. You just have to kind of figure out what you want to do. Again, this is a kind of fun to do it, but it's not something that I would do myself. I would do it a different way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select all and hit delete. Okay, so we did on our create tab, we did family tree, and on our home tab, we did the split project. Endless kind of works like a split project. It just makes the design endless, and I'll mess with that at least once before the lessons are over, I think. Okay, go back to create tab. All right, so project in the hoop. This is another one of those things that I rarely do. When you like to create your own things, I tend to just do it myself. I tend not to use other people's things. I tend to do them myself, so it makes it a little easier for me. However, I will tell you this. If you are starting out with digitizing, and I did this, and every digitizer I've ever listened to as far as teaching has said this as well. You find a design that you like, you buy it, and you pick it apart and you learn how to do it. You don't ever copy them. It's more like you're learning the technique. I'm not going to go take somebody's fox and be like, okay, now it's my fox. I'm not grabbing that fox to see how to make a fox. I'm grabbing that fox to see how they put it together. So when I say to grab somebody's design and pick it apart to see how it's done. If you find a design and you love the way it's stitched out, it stitches out beautifully. One of the ones that I always like, which I don't do this because I'm lazy, is when they're doing the same color, they use a running stitch in it versus a cut, so that it just goes to the next color under another color. I know that's a little bit above what we're talking about here today, but what I'm trying to get at is that if you didn't know how that design looked when it's stitched out, or you stitch it out and you watch how it's done, how they created that fill, how they created that overlay. So you take something that's been done and you pick it apart and learn from what they do, and then you expand upon it. The first zipper bag I ever did, I knew how to do the zipper, but I could not figure out how to make it lined. And the first time I did it, I got the design and I got one that showed how to, so let's see if they have a zipper pouch in here, just so we can go on here. Book cover, card holder, coaster, key ring, pencil case. That's going to be a zip pouch. Okay, so we'll take this one as an example. Okay, so here's a pencil case. They have different ones. So the category, so let's go back and look at all the categories. Book cover, card holder, Christmas ornaments, coasters, key rings, luggage tag, novelty. I'm not going to discuss novelty. If you want, novelty is like in the hoop stuffies, and let's just say my children were in here when I was doing it, and the smallest one I have is the boy, and he comes in the room and he's like, what is that? Anyway, needless to say, if I showed you the stuffy, I'd have to show you a correct way to do a stuffy. So we're not going to do that one. It's just don't. Okay, passport cover, pencil case, which we're doing, phone case, and pouches. I have stitched out the phone case. It's kind of fun. All right, pencil case. Style. So you get some style choices. Small, large palette, small palette, pyramids, scrolls. I don't think that looks like a scroll, but swirls, triangles, tribal, and then my favorite, blank. So, but here's the thing. You really need to see one of the other ones with the designs so you can get it. So we're going to do this palette large. Okay, it's going to tell you the dimensions, and then it also gives an option to view the PDF instructions. So that it's going to tell you how to make your design. Now, this is extremely helpful in digitizing as well. So we're back on the topic of digitizing and how you pick apart other people's designs. Okay, so my first one was a zipper pouch. It was not this type of zipper pouch. This zipper pouch is not lined. It is not seamed. It has a satin stitch around it. Maybe I'm wrong. No, it does. It has a lining. Never mind. It has a lining. I lied. It has a lining. But it was different. Anyway, there's also a top stitch one. That's the awesome one. I did a watermelon. I love it. Okay, so here it is, and it's going to give you how to do it. When you get directions from somebody on how to stitch something out, you're basically getting their directions on how to digitize it. That's the fun thing. You now know how to go about creating a zipper pouch. You just have to pick apart how they did the stitching and everything. Placement stitches. They did get a little creative with the bees on there. I'll tell you, I never do that. And then it just tells you step by step how to do it. And then voila, you have, maybe it's not lined. You can see the seams. It's not lined. It technically has a lining, but you still see the seams. I do seamless ones where you can't see the seams. Those are the best. I don't want to see seams. I hate seeing seams. Anyway, off topic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close the PDF. And once you say okay, it is going to put it in our very, very large hoop. Let's change our hoop real quick. And I think this was for the 240 by 150, I think. I'm going to Go natural. Yep. Nope. It will not fit in that hoop. It is larger than that, so 260 by 200. Let's try that. There we go. 260 by 200. So there would be your design that you would stitch out. Pretty easy. We're going to go back to the create project in the hoop again. Each choice, each category has different things that you can do. You can add things to them. So that little stocking, you could put somebody's name on it. You could do the same thing with the bell, the candy cane, gingerbread man. I don't know if you could put a name on him, but you could definitely stitch him out. So you could just do that, and there's tons of them in here, but it pretty much just walks you that through. So you would grab whatever you wanted, so passport cover, whatever passport you wanted, and then you would view your PDF instructions and then say, okay. And your choices would be put on the screen. Did my software lock up? I think my software locked up. Oh, maybe not. There it is. Okay, so go ahead and delete that one. So there's our passport cover. So we would have had our PDF instructions. You could have printed them or just had them off to the side, stitched it out. Where it says name here, basically what that means is if you right click it, you can do edit lettering, and then I can put my name in. So Stephanie Brown. Say okay. And then it puts my name on there. You could change the font as well. Be like, I don't like that font. Do this one. So you get a little bit better. You can also do change that lettering. So it gives you quite a bit of editing capabilities so that you can make it a little bit more you. So really wouldn't do this, but just so you guys can see. But you can do that. The only thing it doesn't look like you can edit is the actual design. These would be placement stitches and tack. This would be a placement stitch. That's going to be your design element. Oh, you can edit those. So you could change the letters on here to be cursive or something else. You could change that. So it looks like really you have, I mean, you could technically delete that out. So you can pretty much do whatever you want. You could also just get a blank one and do the same thing. Okay, guys, so that is the project in the hoop. Select all. There we go. So pretty easy. It kind of gives you an overview of what the project in the hoop does. Digitizing, my favorite. We're going to skip over digitizing. We're going to skip over cross stitcher. And we're going to hit sketch. So we're going to go ahead and on that create tab, we're going to go ahead and choose the sketch and let it open. All right. Okay. So here is the sketch module. So you can load a picture for a new embroidery. You can load sketch embroidery, which is one that you've been working on, or you could start a new one with no picture. I'm going to go ahead and load a picture for new embroidery just so I can show you this part. I'm going to choose my hoop. We'll do the 240 by 150. And we're going to go rotate it and say, okay, next. I'm going to load a picture. Okay, so under Documents, mySewnet, I'm going to choose Samples. And then I'm going to choose Sketch. And then Pics. Okay, so here's all the pictures you can do for sketch, and I'm going to choose this crazy bicycle, and I'm going to say okay. So there's the crazy bicycle, and I'm going to say okay. Everything else is fine. You could obviously change, like scoot these closer if you needed to. And then this one. This is just being picky. I would have just really left it. Okay, then say next. The picture height is going to be based on my hoop, so 150 is fine. Thread color is fine. Next. Place crosses on picture, automatic corners, none. This is for alignment. If you were going to do an endless design, I'm just going to do place this on across. It's fine. Finish. Okay, there's my bicycle. Okay, so because we haven't really done anything with the digitizing module, because we haven't done anything really with the digitizing module, we are not going to, this is not how I would do this. In my opinion, Sketch, if you are awesome with a tablet, like one of those tablets that hook up to your computer, if you're super awesome with that, go for it. If you're good, if you have a touch screen, that is something really cool, and I'll show you that in a minute. But for the most part, you're basically going to choose lines, satin lines, motif stitches, whatever, to create this item. So the way, so let's see. Okay, let's go across the top real quick just so you get everything here. Okay, so across the top, I'm going to explain everything. So file, new, open, save, export. Again, that's to get it ready for stitch out, print. If you want to print it, undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, duplicate, delete. Did I ever explain duplicate to you guys, the difference between copy and paste, or copy and duplicate? So copy and paste, if you copy something and you paste it, it goes directly on top of it. So it like hides it behind itself. If you do duplicate, it copies and pastes all in one step and then moves it off to the side. So it's not directly on top. So duplicate, if you're only doing one, is really helpful. Delete, deletes it. Insert mode, if I needed to insert something. Hoop, change my hoop. Preferences, again, you can set your preferences for your stitches. Allow variable stitch speed, which means that it varies. It's not one smooth speed. Zigzag width, it gives you a minimum and maximum. I'm going to turn that off. Minimum gap to add trim, 4 millimeters. You can tie off before and after trims. If you uncheck tie off before and after trims, you must add your own tie off. What that means is that you would need to go back and forth at the beginning and the end in order to tie it off. Screen shows your grid size, stitch points, last stitch marker, show warning that the design information would be fixed as stitches. So if you didn't want any of those, you could turn them off. I prefer to leave them on, and we're going to say okay. Okay, box select, freehand select, point select. We've all done all this all over the time. Select all, replace selection. So if you select everything and click on this, it'll take it away and put something in new. Add to selection, remove from selection. Okay, add color change. So notice that you only have one. In order to add another one, you would hit that. Pick a color. So if there was a color specific that you wanted on your design, so if we came here, click this, and I click that, it's going to bring up the color that it feels is the closest. And then I would do add color, choose one, say okay. Well, that was weird. I said add color, not change color. Okay, maybe I have to do something first. We'll see. Okay, color tone. If I had a whole bunch of things, I can change it all at once. Stop, you can add a stop command. Erase stitches, remove all alignment stitches, place alignment stitches. Again, this is all for multiple hoopings. There's your grid on, or grid on, grid off. You can change your background. I'm looking at it in 3D. I can turn it off and it's no longer 3D. Life view, if I had stitches on there, you could do that. And plays the stitches. Okay, edit. Again, hoop preferences, same thing. Draw, add color change, pick color, move, view, everything. This one is very, very basic. Okay, so let's get started. Let's go in here. We have our color selected. We want a line. And we're going to make these little handlebar lines. So I'm going to come in here and I am going to draw a line. And undraw. Oh, I should have left it in a different color so we could see it. Here, hold on. Let's do this one. Okay, so now you can see them. Okay, so I ended my handlebars. We're going to add this line down here. And then now that is draw. You can also do straight lines. So if I wanted an exact straight line, I could get an exact straight line. I probably should have done that on that. The spokes, you could do the same thing using straight line. Put all the spokes in here. And you're basically just drawing what you see. You're basically just tracing over it using very basic drawing skills. Okay, so that's that one. So then you could come in here and you could do triple stitch instead of running stitch. So we're going to add some triples. Oops, hold on. Get rid of that one. We're going back to the curved line. And okay. You can also do satin line. This is a 2 millimeter satin line. Probably would want to go up to 4. What's this one? And you can set your own. Okay, so then you would want to do your wheels. Somewhat like that. Now, okay. So you would just come in here and recreate using your tools as you saw fit. The faster I go, the less I do. If you have a touch screen, you can put them on with a touch screen as well. Okay. All right. So once you have all that done, you can, I think you can add a color now. So I think if you go here, so let me do another color. There we go. So I guess you have to have the color first before you can do that. And then we have these little swirl things. I am not the steadiest with the swirls. But you kind of get the point. You're just kind of using motions. So if you wanted to really keep going. But okay. So basically you kind of get this, oops, sorry. You can just kind of fill in everything. I personally do not use this module for this. I use the Create module. The Create module, or I'm sorry, Digitizing module, them and their name changes. The Digitizing module allows you to do the exact same thing I just did without being in this module. And you have so much more control because then I can edit my points. I can alter my points. When you don't have a choice to alter this, what it is stays as it is. I cannot adjust it. So if I don't do it right the first time, I have to select that part and get rid of it. I can't make any changes. And to me, that is very limiting. And that's why I don't really mess with this module. Okay, but I will show you something really cool that you can use this module for. And like I said, if you're good, by all means, if you're excellent with your tablet and things like that, this might be exactly for you. And if that's the case, you know, great. I respect people who can do that because I can't. I have tried. I don't like those lines they leave, so I'm trying to get rid of it. Okay. Okay, so I'm all clear now. So I'm going to get rid of my picture. So I'm going to click on background and I'm going to go no background. So I'm going to get rid of my picture. Oh, if you wanted a lighter background, that would be that one, and darker. But I want no background. Okay, so that's how you would use this aspect of it. Free. Okay, free motion. This creates a free motion atmosphere. So if you wanted to do free motion for quilting or something like that, you can use this, but you can also use, So a free motion quilting type thing, so fast, so slow. So we're going to go fast. So it would be basically, did I not? Hold on. You can do the angle. I'm going to set the angle at 0. Okay. So these are just creating like point to point. Oops, free motion means you have to keep going. Okay. This one lets you do it in a smooth motion. So I can go in here and create whatever I want. And again, I am not very good at this. Okay. This one, same thing. It does a zigzag or a satin. So the slower you go, the thicker your satin line becomes. So I'm going really slow to get that. Again, you have this one goes in and out as well. And then calligraphy. I forget this one doesn't. You set an angle. Okay, now this is where I would use this. When I want to use this type of thing, using, if you sign your name, it looks really weird if you go really fast. If you are steady and slow, you can do a signature. Okay, so let's get rid of all that. Oh, of course, we have to do this one. That takes forever. All right, let's see. Select all visible, delete. There's that stupid line. Okay, so when you have the different types, the zigzag is harder because you have to go slower. Free motion, this one. So touching my screen, this is what I use it for. I've had my little boy sign his name since he was probably 4 and write his name, and I stitch it out and I keep it. So, so these are the kinds of fun things. So if I had a picture of a signature up on my screen, I could literally recreate it using this because handwriting is very fluid. So if I had a recipe written by my great-great-grandmother and I wanted to duplicate it, I would pull it up as a photo, put it on there, and I would trace over every letter. And because I am not great with a tablet, which would be where you would really shine, I would use my touch screen and I would just flip my computer and make it like a tablet and just trace it with my finger. Because again, you can zoom in on those things. So this is what I use this one for, is handwriting. Doing a design like a bird or a car or whatever, you can do it. And I've seen people do it and they are amazing. I'm not amazing. But using this for recreating handwriting is what you will normally do, or a free motion quilting pattern or whatever. But the main reason I use this one is for handwriting. Okay, so this is what I consider my handwriting module. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one because we are done with the sketch module, and you would just export it like normal. Okay, guys, so that's the video for today. It was pretty basic, just kind of going over those 3 modules and how to use them. The beginning of next module, I might actually have a recipe brought in to show you guys how that sketch model can do that. I didn't really think about it because I was like, well, obviously they know how to do that, but hindsight's 2020. Maybe I should have showed you, and I don't have anything on my computer on this computer saved. But next time, so lesson 11, we will be doing cross stitcher. Cross stitcher is one of my favorites. If you follow me on Facebook, it's Stitching with Stephanie. I have my latest software class that's coming up, and it is using that cross stitcher. And we actually did a tile scene of a 4th of July truck, those red trucks that are so popular. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out on Facebook. If you like my videos, please like. And if you want to subscribe, please do. Okay, so cross stitcher, next time we are one step closer to full on digitizing. I cannot wait. I have it in my head what our first project is going to be, and I think you guys are going to love it. Oh, wait. The first digitizing one we're going to do is just where everything is. And then the second digitizing will be doing that project, because I do want you guys to not be confused when I say, go here, go there. I know I talk fast, so I'm sure you guys pause a lot. But anyway, all right, guys, that's it. Sorry I'm a day late. I will see you next week, hopefully before Friday, but if not, it will be Friday. See you next time.